important thing in life. You see, if your life without love, your life is boring. You know, to the extent, if you don't realize love, your life is useless. That's how important love is. But you have to get to know what is love. You know? So that is the life journey. So without really knowing what is love, your life is useless. So that's what our mind have to listen. When our mind turns to the feet of the Lord, when our mind turns to the feet of God, that awakens out of our heart that we can know love. So please, if possible, just say Prem Lounge. That love relationship, not just a superficial love, but
Jai Gurudev, everyone, and welcome to the Prem Lounge. Jai Gurudev Swami. We would like to invite you to please start with an opening prayer. Thank you so much.
Okay. Ajnanatirandasya Jnananjalashalakaya Chakshurulimitam yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Jai Gurudev, everyone. Hari Bhakta Sangha. Can you hear me?
Jai Gurudev Swami, Jai Gurudev, everyone. Welcome to the Prem Lounge with Bhakti Marga South Africa. For those of you joining us for the first time tonight, Bhakti Marga, which means path of devotion, was founded by our beloved Satguru Paramahamsa Swami VishwaRanga in 2005. Since then, Bhakti Marga has grown into a global movement dedicated to supporting our Satguru and his mission. Paramahamsa Vishwananda is an enlightened, God-realized master who lives in union with the divine. His mission on earth is to open the hearts of mankind. The Bhakti path centers on developing a personal relationship with the divine. And here in the Prem Lounge, we love to create a platform where we can share unique experiences with Guruji so that we can learn from each other and transform through Guruji's love and lessons. So our session this evening is dedicated to the lotus feet of our beloved Gurudev. Just a few guidelines before I introduce Swami Ranga. We have everyone muted so as not to disturb while he's speaking. And please go ahead, all of you, and turn on your cameras, though he loves to see you while he's talking. If you have any questions, just hold on to them and you can ask them at the end. And if you've experienced any problems on the Zoom call, just message one of the co-hosts and they'll be happy to help you. So tonight is a special night. We've been waiting for this night for almost a year to be joined by Swami Ranga, who's got a really, really busy schedule. We are joined by Swami VishwaRanga Ramanuja, the country Swami for India. Swami resides at Sri Giridharatham ashram in Vrindavan. He started his journey with Guruji in 2016 and was initiated as Guruji's Swami in 2020. Swami's spiritual journey began in the temples of South Africa when he was just an 8-year-old boy. His path led him to India, where he studied a Bachelor of Music and a Master of Health Social Science at the Annamalai University in Chidambaram. Today, he's an accomplished Indian classical and Vedic teacher, vocalist, and composer who's well-versed in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Bhagavad Gita, and other scriptures. And he's also the founder and artistic director at Bhakti Sangeet Academy, an academy that teaches music and Hindu scriptures. So Jai Gurudev Swami, and welcome to our Prem Lounge. It's wonderful to be here. It's so wonderful to have you here.
It is. I'm looking at your background and so much of memories of the times we spent in South Africa with all the devotees.
Absolutely. It was an amazing time when you were here.
So where do I start? So much to say in so little time.
Absolutely. So maybe Swami, you want to start by sharing with us a bit about your journey as Guruji's Swami. It's such an amazing and special role to hold right now in the universe. And I think we all want to know a lot about that. So if you're happy to, please can you start by sharing your journey as Guruji's Swami?
So, I had my initial introduction with Guruji at a clinic, a skin clinic in, where was it? Gateway. So there was a devotee, which I would never forget. Her name was Sugendri Naidu, and she happened to meet me. I was looking for a moisturizer for my concert because I was doing concert tours in South Africa at that time. And this was in 2015, or late 2014. So anyway, the story is there on the YouTube links of Bhakti Marga India YouTube channel. But just to bring you to the point where I want to discuss about how it actually started. So I was talking to this lady at the counter for my skin. And she says, "Aren't you that singer that's here to sing?" And then she says, "Can you please come to our ashram?" And then she gave me introduction, and she was talking about Guruji, and I was just listening, at the back of my head, because I was more interested in getting my moisturizer for my face. And I was just listening to this lady go on. And then she mentioned Mahavadar Babaji's name. And then I stopped her and I said, "What did you say?" And then she said, "Mahavadar Babaji. And this is Guruji's guru. And he's a direct disciple." And then I started to explain to her my experience with Babaji, which I had in Badrinath in 2014. And so anything one way led to another thing. And we were talking, and then she called the Swami who was in charge at that time. And Guruji asked the Swami to come and meet me. And we had a conversation. And then the next thing he says, Guruji asked me to give you Kriya. And I said, "Okay, but I have no idea what this Kriya is and what it does and anything like that." So I said, "Okay, we'll go to the ashram and do the Kriya." And it's been a year since I was practicing Kriya. And a lot of things were happening to me in that 1 year. So I was predominantly from the Sri Vaishnava community. When I say predominantly, not like I was some big deal, but it was the path that I was following all the time. And all my studies were pertaining to Sri Vaishnavism and the Arvas and Divya Prabandham, and all my gurus and my Acharya from Sri Rangam put so much of effort into me for 9 years. So when I came to India, it was in 2009. And I started this journey in Sri Vaishnavism fully. And it was when I met Guruji, when I met the Kriya, you can say. I was doing the Kriya for 1 year, and so much was changing for me in terms of, I don't know, it was a very difficult year for me, number one, emotionally, physically, financially. And I used to remember going to college in Chidambaram. I used to go early in the morning, come back in the afternoon, and then have my freshen up and then run to the temple, because I used to do puja in the temple, and I used to cook for the deities in the temple. So it was a very lovely time to spend in Chidambaram. But during that time, why I'm mentioning this is I didn't see Guruji. I was doing Kriya, and I knew there was a presence, but I didn't know who this presence was. So as I said, there was so much going on at that time, and it was a very emotional time for me. And I used to cry a lot to God, and I used to feel so depressed. And I used to have so many issues with my friends at college, and fighting and jealousy. And so this is how music life is, you know, always one singer against the other. So this is how the leela of musicians go. So I was crying, and I was talking to Guruji. I didn't know Guruji, I only know Guruji from a picture. And so 1 year went by, and then one day I hear Guruji is coming to Chidambaram on a pilgrimage. And Swamini Vishwamohini phones me and tells me, you know, Guruji is coming, and it will be nice for you to meet him since you live in Chidambaram. So I said, yeah, I was super excited. I arranged so many things. I arranged my at my acharya's house, my teacher's house, to introduce him and take him there for dinner. And so it was very nice. As you know, Chidambaram is one of the 108 Divya Deshams. It's Divya Desam number 23. So it's one of the 108 holy temples of Sri Vaishnavism. So it's a very predominant Sri Vaishnava town, small village, and not bigger than Vrindavan. Yeah, Vrindavan is bigger than Chidambaram. So Guruji had come, and I remember he said he's going to arrive at the lobby of this hotel at 5. So I was there at this lobby at 4:30. And all of you who know Guruji, well, I didn't know Guruji and how he is. Guruji, he made me wait so long. Okay, so I was there at 4:30, and I'm busy. I had the garlands and the malas and the coconut and the vastra, like the dhoti, to offer him. And I'm standing there thinking like, oh, I'm going to be late. I'd rather go there at 4:30 just to be. So I waited at the lobby 4:30. Then it went on to 5 o'clock. Then from 5 o'clock, it went on to 5:30. Then 6. And finally, at 9 o'clock, Guruji arrives. So you must know what was happening to me. I was messaging and calling Swamini every like half an hour. What happened? Are you guys okay? Where are you? We are waiting. And yeah, so I was in so much of panic, because like you don't realize this, but you think like, oh my God, he's not going to come. Now I'd rather just go. It's 9 o'clock. I'm there from 4:30 in this lobby, and people are coming in and out, and they're looking at this person sitting there for so long. And I'm saying, no, I said, Swami VishwaRanga's coming, and I'm meeting them here. And they were like, but he's not coming. Like every hour they were like reminding me. And finally Guruji came, and he jumped off the car. So the way he orchestrated this whole Leela, I don't remember, because I was inside the lobby, and I don't remember hearing the buses come in. It wasn't such a big hotel. But I walk out the lobby, because I see a few people now with the Bhakti Marga Tilak, and they came into the lobby. And then when I walked out, this entire group of pilgrims, they made like 2 lines on either side of this entrance of the hotel, like from the gate where the car drives in. And I looked at all of them, and then Guruji drives with this car in between all of them. And I see him through the windscreen, and my whole body starts vibrating instantly. He just smiled at me, and he opened the door like a little child, you know, like a child at a fun place or water park, like where they can't wait to get out the car. I saw him, the way he just like tried to open the door and he jumped out and he just started walking towards me like so fast. It happened like, it felt like a lifetime, but the moment was so like, it happened so quickly also. And he walked towards me and he didn't say anything to me. I didn't even get a chance to bow down. He opened his arms and he picked me up and he grabbed me. And then I started crying. And then I said, "What took you so long?" And I imagine such a guru, and I'm asking him what took him so long. I didn't even say namaskar. I didn't say any greeting. He just grabbed me and he picked, because I'm shorter than Guruji also. So he just picked me up and he held me in his chest. And I had flashes of so much of fragrance going through my brain. I didn't know what was happening. And I told him, "What took you so long?" And then he looks at me like this and he says, "Well, I'm here now." And this voice rings in my head all the time, because when I look back at the journey, I didn't know what he meant when he said that in my initial time when I first met him. He said, "Well, I'm here now." And for me, that has been the most life-changing words from Guruji. Because as I was getting more deeper in Bhakti Marga and Guruji, I realized that these were not just words about him coming from Tiruvannamalai to Chidambaram and he was late. These are the words of a Sadguru that was confirming that I have been waiting for many lives for that exact moment. And I have been longing, my soul has been longing for that moment for so many lives. And sometimes when we say things, we don't realize the divine is speaking through us, that Atma is communicating to others through us. And in that moment, if I recall, it feels so real, because even now I can feel the hug from Guruji. That's how strong that hug was, as if it touched my soul for many lives. And I realized that we've been waiting and waiting and waiting for that moment till we meet him, until he embraces us, and until he smiles into our eyes. And that moment, I can vouch for every devotee, for every follower that has met Paramahamsa Vishwananda. That moment is life-defining. It defines your entire existence. And when we look back at moments like this, when I look back, today Prem Lounge called me. They decided to interview and have the satsang. I didn't know what I was going to say. But I know this is a chance, a reminder to remind me and to remind all of us that, on the path, it becomes very difficult sometimes. It becomes very trying mentally, emotionally. And when I look at how much of love that he gave me in that one hug, I didn't understand what it was. I didn't understand who Guruji was. I didn't understand anything about what I was going to enter. And it's a constant reminder for me that when I face, so much of life's experiences, unhappiness, sorrow, I keep remembering that defining moment that happened when I met my master, when I met Guruji. And I can put my head on the block for every single devotee that it is that 1/2 a second interaction with your Atma that he had on your first time that you saw him. It was that moment that you realized that he is your Guru and this is where you belong. So coming from there, from Chidambaram, I spent many days with him and he kept passing hints at me. So you must know, I don't know anything about Guruji. I have no awareness whatsoever. I've been doing Kriya, but I have no awareness in what the master said, that it means so many other things, that you've been waiting for an answer for many lifetimes. So when we were in the car traveling to this place, it was a Babaji temple, which was not far from Chidambaram, 12 kilometers, which I had no idea of. So Guruji says, come, let's go in the car. And I sit with him in the car. So I remember Swami Akash was on one side of me and Guruji was on the other side. And I was in the center. And he says, you must know that nothing in life is a coincidence. It can't be coincidence that we are sitting in this car. It's not coincidence that we've met in Chidambaram. It's not coincidence that all the events that led up to the part that I sat with him in the car, it's not a coincidence. It is all part of the divine plan. And I remember sitting in that lobby that night, and Anshul was there, which is Mayuran's brother. And I was there. Guruji was trying to cut a coconut. And he was taking out the inside of the coconut and he was talking to me. And I was saying, Guruji, life is so hard. Life is so hard for me. It's so difficult. I don't know if I can go on anymore. And he looks at me again and he smiles. He says, I know. And then he holds my cheeks and he pinches it. I never realized what he was doing and what it meant, because it was just not even 24 hours I know Guruji. And he says in the car, nothing's a coincidence. Then he took me to Tirchi and we had darshan of Sri Rangam together, where he met my Acharya also over there. And when he met my Acharya, so my Acharya in Sri Rangam, who gave me Diksha, he was the pontiff, the direct pontiff of Sri Ramanuja Acharya. So there's 72 simhasans, 72 swamis that Ramanuja Acharya initiated before he left his body many, many years ago. More than like 1,000. Now it's 1,000 and I think 5 years that Ramanuja Acharya has attained Samadhi. But out of these 72, you have to come under any one of the 72 to get the Diksha of the mantra. So I happened by God's grace that the Acharya that I had got the Diksha from was the direct line of Ramanuja Acharya. It wasn't one of the Swamis that Ramanuja Acharya initiated. It was himself in that. So what happens in parampara, I'm sure most of you have heard this term many times. Parampara simply means that there's this thread of gyan, of bhakti, of protection, of wisdom that runs through this garland. So the parampara is like this. It starts off by one person and then it goes and goes, but the same power gets transferred from next to next to next. That is why as devotees, when you are under the parampara, as you hear this term many times, and Guruji's parampara especially, the kind of grace that you carry, the kind of spiritual protection you carry, just by putting your tilak on, simple thing like that. Because you carry the entire power, the entire life, the entire force of the entire parampara. Many, many decades of the acharyas who you don't even have never met physically, but maybe your atma has had some interaction with them at some point. So when you look at the greatness of parampara, we are constantly reminded and we constantly take it for granted. And I'm not saying this because we are devotees. I'm saying this because I see in many, 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 many lives of people, especially even here in India, the value of parampara is not understood. So when something is not understood, what happens? It's taken for granted, isn't it? And you fully don't understand what you have. So that's why I mentioned this, because you need to understand how much of Amrit, how much of sacredness lies within you just by that belonging to a parampara. So he met my Acharya, and my Acharya, as I said, is the direct pontiff, the direct Acharya of Ramanuja Acharya. And when Acharya Dear Swami meets Paramahamsa Vishwananda, he immediately starts crying. So he's a 90 plus old Swami Acharya who's in a wheelchair, who is coming, and then he walks, they pick him up and they put him on his asana. And he looks at Guruji and he starts crying. And he says in Tamil, Yena aichita poma and aichita poma, like, can you take me and go? Can you take me and go? And Guruji's eyes light up into something like divya, like it's like some kind of huge light was there, like 1,000 suns. And he takes the murti from the mat where Ramanuja Acharya stayed. Each person who takes that role again has to stay in the house of Ramanuja Acharya. So he takes Ramanuja Acharya's murti that was in his altar and he gives it to Guruji without asking. And I couldn't understand. It was a big Satyanarayan murti like this. It must have been about 30 centimeters or something. But imagine the decades of puja it has been receiving from different Jia Swamis, different heirs to the throne. And then this Jia Swami of mine just takes it and everyone was looking. What is going on? How could Jia Swami give the murti away? And he says, this is for you. And we didn't understand what was happening at that time. It was just a wow factor. Oh, he gave such a sacred murti to Guruji. But it was many days after that I realized why it happened. And he came, so Guruji went to the next ashram, which is about 5 ashrams away from where we were. He went there to have lunch. And when he came, when I went there with Guruji to eat, my Acharya sent somebody to call me. So I went back to the mat where Guruji was originally at Acharya's place. And he gave me the shaligram. And he said, take it. And then he says, you know, if you want to go with him, you can go with him. So the permission was given because dear Swami knew already that what was going to unfold, what was the Leela. He already foresaw this. So he already, without me asking anything, he has said, if you want to go, you can go, because we are the same parampara anyway, the same Sri Vaishnava lineage. And I didn't think anything of it. Again, silly me. I couldn't think much of it. I was just thinking it's words. Okay, I said, okay. And I bowed down to him. I took the shaligram and I went back to Guruji and I screamed like in the hall because I couldn't find Guruji. So I was like, Guruji, Guruji, Guruji. And then he wasn't anywhere to be found. He was sitting in the back of the altar of the hall eating. So then somebody said, no, Guruji is there. So I went there and I said, look what Acharya gave me. He gave me a shaligram. And then Guruji grabbed it and he put it by Giridhari. And then he said, go and eat. So I went to eat. And then I came back and he says, oh, your shaligram is gone. And that was it for me, because imagine my Acharya gave me a shaligram. And then Guruji, who I just met in 48 hours, takes something so valuable that my Acharya, who I was serving for last 7 to 8 years, gives, and I give it to Guruji. And then he, in front of everyone, so again the Leela happened. He orchestrated everyone to stand in a circle around me. I don't even know how it happened. The entire pilgrimage group, and they are watching this play happening. And then he looks in Giridhari's asana, he says, your shaligram is not here, it's gone. And then I said, it's okay, Guruji. I don't mind if you took it or if it's gone. The fact that you held it, it was enough for me. Thank God I said that. Because at that, many years later, I realized what he was doing. He was testing me to see how attached I am and testing me about where I am in my mind, if I'm fully aware of where my mind is. He knows. But do I know? That is the question. So I said this and I didn't think anything of it. And then he quickly says, he grabs me and he hugs me, says, no, I'm joking. I know that Shaligram means a lot to you. Take it. Here's it here. And then he just pulls it out of his hand. I don't know from where. It wasn't in the asan. It just comes out of his hand again and to me. So I didn't think anything of it again because I'm silly old me, unaware. So anyway, we travel around, we go to the place where Guruji stay in the hotel. Then he says, I want you to come to Rameshwaram with me. And I couldn't go because at that point when my Acharya called me for the Shaligram, he gave me a letter to give to Chidambaram temple. So I had to give this letter to Chidambaram temple where I was staying. So I said, Acharya said, I have to give this letter urgently tonight. So maybe I can't come. And he was so disappointed. Then I left in the night and I went back to Chidambaram and I was in this zone of a dream. Like I couldn't believe what it was that I felt. What is this? What is this feeling that I'm feeling when I was with Guruji? Like everything felt like I was flying somewhere, like I was in a dream. It didn't feel real to me. And so anyway, time goes on and you get caught up in your Maya again and you forget. This is the mind. This is the one of the things of the mind, because you can experience the greatest thing with divinity. And then a few seconds, a few minutes, a few hours later, you can't remember it. It doesn't have that much of an impact on you, not enough for your mind to behave. Do you understand? So when you look at this, when you look at how the mind is explained, like Guruji was talking also at one point during the dinner when we were eating, and he was talking about the Gita. And I said something really silly. I can't remember what it was. And I used the word Bhagavad Gita, but the thing he was saying was not from the Gita. It was from the Mahabharata or something. I can't remember. But then I replied also so silly. I said, I made a mistake, but it won't happen again. Because everyone knew by then, like I knew scriptures, I knew this, I knew that, and I studied this and studied that. But he knew me more than anyone. And I didn't see it. And he was trying to show me subtly in many things, in many ways. So even in Chidambaram, if I recall, this ring here that you see, I didn't know Guruji has this kind of thing where he materializes and all of this. And so he called me to the room and he started to wave his hand. And I didn't know anything what was happening because I just didn't, I wasn't like, I was just like, okay, Guruji's calling me, let me go. I probably want to talk about somewhere where he wants to visit or something, I don't know. Because I knew Tamil, I know how to speak Tamil, so we were translating a lot for Guruji at that time. And he does this and this ring comes and I was like, and then he says, this is for you. Can I put it on this finger? And then he says, is this finger taken? And then I said, no, it's not taken. But it's only for God. That was my reply. And then he says, okay, but I'll put it on this one for now. And then he puts it on this finger. And it was so fast, it was so weird, but I remember coming down the stairs, Shubhra Mataji was there, Swamini was there in the lobby, and my body was vibrating. I was feeling like I was flying. I was feeling like so much of energy, this burst of energy, which now I understand it was love. But for people who don't understand what that is, they will say it's energy, some kind of experience. You have so many explanations for it. So when I look at all of these things, the path, that the journey, building up to me becoming a Swami, I know there's so much to tell, I really don't know what to say and what not to say with this, because it's not like you just become a Swami, like it's not like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It doesn't happen in steps. But I know there was this conversation with Guruji that we had in Holi, where I told him something, and he said, okay, well, you have to do your Dharma. And I didn't know what it was, what it meant. Even though this happened during the year Corona hit, when it was 2020. Yeah. So the thing is, I didn't know what also that meant, and hey, I must do my Dharma. So like I was thinking, yes, I must be good and behave and not, do wrong things. I was thinking like this, and do my sadhana, listen to him, like, because I was fully in Bhakti Marga by 2020. And so after a few weeks, when we all was in full lockdown, Guruji left. And so they wanted to have satsang. So Abhirami messaged to Guruji, can he do satsangs, because he knows Bhagavad Gita and he knows Bhagavatam and all of this. And then, but what do we call him? Because at that time, my name was Bharatwaj. And Guruji says he knows what his Dharma is. And when he is ready, tell him to come and tell me. So then Abhirami runs to the bungalow, because now we're in lockdown. And Corona was like a new thing there. You couldn't even walk on the road. You would think you're going to die. So everyone's mind was like, so Abhirami runs, and I see her running into the garden and in by the bungalow door. And then I'm like, what happened? And then she says, I asked Guruji if you can do satsang, but he said, yes, you can do satsang, but we don't know what to call you on the YouTube. And then all he said to me is that ask him to tell me when he's ready to do his Dharma. And I knew what that meant. And I started crying so much, and I messaged him, and I asked for his forgiveness for all the years that I haven't been doing my Dharma. And I've been running away and doing so much of offenses in this way. And he sends a message, today, I claim you as one of mine, and you are Bhakti Marga Swami. And then the message went out to the ashram and to everyone, and there was like this big thing happening, and people were there, whoever was in lockdown was there. But it was a shock to everyone. It wasn't like something that anyone knew that would happen. So I have never spoken about my initiation, because I've never had the chance to actually talk about initiation, because whenever I give satsang, it's always, different topics. But maybe today I share with you a little bit about that experience of the initiation. So when I was getting initiated, I knew I had to do it. I knew it was something that had to happen. And Guruji said, this is your Dharma. So tell me when you're ready. So I said, I'm ready. And I knew that I was walking into something. I didn't know what it was. So during the initiation, as the procedure was going on, they would ask you to close your eyes, and all of their hands go on you. And when this part happened, the mantra diksha happened at that point, I see Guruji running towards me. A literal experience of him with my eyes closed. He's running towards me, and he's holding two people's hands, like one hand on the side, he's holding and two people on either side. And he runs and he runs, and the crowd, like the people who were there, they were chanting loud, Om Namo Narayanaya Om. And the vibration was so high. And suddenly he runs towards me, and then I feel this thing inside of me, like this bang, and his eyes meet with my eyes. And so this was my experience in the initiation. And from then, when I opened my eyes, the world seemed like something I didn't know. I didn't understand. It felt like I was literally looking around as if everything was new. Because I've been in the ashram for so long, nothing can be new to me. I even know where the walls are not painted, on the temple altar. But I looked around, and everything seemed bright. It seemed new. It looked shiny. It looked glossy. It looked perfect. And this brings me to the shloka of the Guru Stotram. Chakshurulamitam yena tasme shri guruve namaha. Ajnanatimirandasya jnananjala shalakaya. Chakshurulamitam yena tasme shri guruve namaha. Chakshurulamitam yena tasme shri guruve namaha means that by being his devotee, by being his disciple, by being his, you are able to see the world through his eyes, how he sees the world. And whenever I read the shloka, it touches me so deep because I remember the moment when I opened my eyes after receiving sannyas diksha. And I saw a little bit of how it would be to have those eyes of Guruji's. I probably just saw a little dust of what it is to have those eyes, to see the world through his eyes. And I constantly remind myself and I remind devotees that it is so important for us to read the books, the bhashyas, the transliterations, the commentaries of how our Guru has commented on Gita, Bhagavatam, all the books that he's written, because it is only through this writing, through this bhashya, that you will be able to envision the world. You'll be able to envision each other through the eyes of your Guru. And this is the aim for every Shishya. For every devotee who has a Guru, your only aim is to envision and to see everything and everyone the way your Guru sees everyone and everything. And this is a process because we have to let go of so many things, of so many attachments, so many expectations. Because he is only a Sadguru. Imagine you want to see the entire universe the way Sadguru, the way your Sadguru sees this universe. How much of Vishwas, of faith that we should have. How much of obedience we should remind our mind about, to listen to the words of the Master, to listen, to be open to the guidance, because guidance is coming continuously to us as his devotees. We are constantly being guided through his Swamis, through his Rishis, through his Brahmacharis, through each other. And if as a Shishya, if as a disciple, if as a devotee, that you can understand this simple thing, Chakshurulimitam yena tasme shri guruve namaha, you will see how beautiful life becomes. You will see how pleasant your experience of life is. You know, this brings me to one of the Bhagavad Gita shlokas that where Paramatma Sri Krishna, he states that he says that in this world, there is only Dukkha. There is only sorrow. There is Sukham means happiness. Sukham means, what do I say? Yeah, happiness, you can say. Dukkha means sorrow. Wherever you look, whichever direction you turn, you only see sorrow. Because this is the nature of Kali Yuga. This is the nature of this era that we have been born in. And Paramatma Sri Krishna says, Janma mrityuha jara rogha dukkha doshana darshanam. Dukkha doshana darshanam means that this dukkha is giving darshan everywhere. This sorrow is giving darshan everywhere. There is no need to do tapasya, japa, anything, sadhana to get the darshan of dukkha. Because even if you walk to the bathroom, you can experience dukkha. Even if you walk down the stairs to make a cup of tea, you can experience dukkha. So dukkha is giving darshan so easily. And this is the problem here. Because when your mind is not fully surrendered to the Master, when dukkha is giving darshan, you can't manage. You are in anxiety, you are in anger, you are in sorrow, you are in unhappiness, you are in jealousy, you are in untruth, Because Dukkha is constantly giving darshan without even asking. Like even when we are doing puja, we are asking, Asan samarpayami, we are just offering the seat for God to come and sit. But Dukkha need no upachara puja, he needs no puja. He's ever ready to give darshan. Without even asking, even in your sleep, Dukkha is giving darshan. So Paramatma Sri Krishna has told Arjuna in battlefield. Why he has told this? Because he brought Arjuna to the Sena Rubayo Madhye, means in the 5th shloka of Gita, you'll see he talks about, he brings the chariot deliberately to the center between the Pandavas and Kauravas to show Arjuna, to show Partha that this Dukkha is everywhere. Even you are with me, next to me, I am Paramatma. This Dukkha is still here. But what is the essence that we have to learn from that? Why did he take the chariot to the center? Why did Paramatma Sri Krishna take that chariot to the center and place it in the center of the two parties, of the two clans? And that is the essence of Gita. This is the secret, the rahasyam of Gita. He took the chariot to the center to show you that you have to remain in equilibrium. You have to remain in the center. Because wherever you go, whether it is inside your mind or outside in the world, Dukkha is there. Sorrow is always there. And this point, if you understand very clearly, Gita becomes your companion. Gita becomes your directory. Gita becomes your manual of life. Because if you can understand that Paramatma Sri Krishna is so intelligent, he was the charioteer. He is deliberately taking the chariot to the center in action, showing what it is. The Kauravas represent your 100 impure qualities. The Pandavas represent your 5 divine qualities. And you battle the whole life. Your whole life is a battlefield because you are struggling for these 5 divine qualities to win that Kurukshetra war inside of you. Because we are giving so much attention to the 100 impure qualities. We are feeding them constantly. We are not disciplining the mind. We are not disciplining the body. We are not disciplining how we are living. So it is through not being disciplined that the 100 qualities, impure qualities, can manifest and become stronger and stronger. It is through discipline. It is through obedience. It is through Vishwas. It is through faith in the Guru that the 5 divine qualities, which is your true nature, can become alive and manifest. Do you understand? Do you see how every action, this is why I started the satsang with things of Guruji. And I kept mentioning, I didn't know what was happening. I had no clue. Because you have no clue. It is only until the point where now you probably hear, and you've heard many times in Guruji's discourses where he reminds us to be in the center, to be in equilibrium. Don't be happy, don't be sad. Be okay that everything is going on the way it has to be going on. Because I tell you that even in the in the Patanjali Sutra, you find that Patanjali himself, the father of the, the Muni, the Rishi of Yoga, Yoga Shastra, he himself says, Nirodasha Loka Veda Vyapam Nyasaha. So it means that this Nirodasha means, Nirod means that extreme virakti, that extreme detachment, that extreme ability to push yourself, that extreme understanding of let me have more perseverance. And this is what Patanjali Muni has written in the Patanjali Yoga Shastras, because yoga is a discipline. Yoga is training. the mind, body, and spirit to push through the evils of Kali Yuga, to push through the Dukkha. See, wherever you will go in this world, Bhagavad Gita mentions also that this entire alayam, referring to world, alayam means this, the sanctum. He refers, Krishna, Paramatma Sri Krishna says, Dukkalayam ashashvatam. Dukkalaya means this is the temple of sorrow only, this world. So you will have the understanding now for 5-10 minutes. And then again, the prarabdha karma comes inside of your life in the form of all your attachments. Your children, your parents, your lovers, your friends. And then all the things start happening through that relationship. So that is why it is so important to understand the words of the Master in his Gita Bhashya, because he is giving you the antidote, how to live in the prarabdha, how to live in that karma that you have to finish, but how to be detached, divinely attached. You know, there's many devotees I see, like they say, I'm detached. I don't give a damn. I don't care. I'm detached. This is not detachment. This is just arrogance and attitude. If you are really detached, you don't have this kind of reaction. So detachment has to be learned through the words of the Guru, through how he is explaining. He is translating the words of God, the word of Paramatma Sri Krishna. He is translating it to you as a devotee because you are able to absorb and understand in a certain way, and only your master knows how you are. Only he knows how to give something to you. Yes or no? How many of you have experienced this with Guruji? Even in him giving you a sweet or giving you prasad or something, he only knows how to give something to you, how you can receive it. And that is why when you are in the realm and the grace of a Sadguru, as Paramahamsa Vishwananda, you see that everyone is different. He works on a very personal level with everybody. You can't put 5 people in a room and say, Guruji is making you all learn the same kind of awareness. He's teaching all of you all the same lesson. You will have the same experience. You'll all may be in the room and somebody may just light a firecracker. And bang! All of you all have the same experience. All of you all jerk. So the jerk will be there, the shock will be there, but the deepness of it is different. Yes or no? So this is how the Sadguru works. The experience can be seen by everyone. It can be experienced by a whole group of people. But to what depth it has to transform you, this is different. And this is how Paramahamsa Vishwananda works with each devotee, each person who is willing to accept his help, who is willing to accept his protection. It's very important. That's why, coming back to what I said in the beginning, Diksha is such an important thing. Parampara is such an important thing because you officially give permission to say, yes, guide me. Yes, protect me. Yes, teach me. There are many times Guruji says, I cannot help somebody because they have not given me the permission to help them. So that is Dharma. Even as a Sadguru, the Dharma is for you to ask, like Krishna, when he spoke to Arjuna and he shows the Vishwarup Darshan. Arjuna again says, please forgive me, O Lord. Piteva putrasya sakheva sakyuhu priya priyaryarhasi devastotum. Vishwarupa Darshan is happening. He is holding Shankha Chakra, Gadapana, Dwaraka, Nilayachyuta, Govinda, Pundarikaksha, Rakshamam, Sharanagatam. And Arjuna is looking like this small little creation of Paramatma. What a big Sahasra Shirsha Purushaha, Sahasraksha Sahasrapate. So he's having thousands of heads, thousands of hands. Veda is saying in Purusha Suktam. And this tiny Arjuna is looking, please, oh Lord, piteva putrasya, please forgive me like how a father forgives his son. Sakheva sakyuhu, please forgive me like how a friend forgives their friend. Priya priyaryarhasi devastotam, please forgive me like how a lover forgives his beloved. I have misunderstood you, O Lord. I have misunderstood what you was telling me all this time. And this is how Gita transforms you. Because when you can fully live the experience, for what I said now, for many of you, how it has touched you, only you know the depth of how it has touched you. But you all here in the Zoom call experience the same thing. What I shared about the shloka and the Vishwarupa Darshan. So coming back to, I went totally from being Swami now to a whole Gita satsang. And, this is the thing, like, sorry, Priyamada.
That song just comes. I know, Swami. I've experienced it many times.
Yeah. So the thing is why I'm talking about this, because why I think Guruji has shown me now to talk about this detachment, because it's important for a devotee to understand. The only way you become free, the only way I have learned to become humble, I have learned to love more, I have learned to also give more, is because he has taught me in so many ways, in so many difficult lessons and beautiful lessons. So it's always difficult when you are in it. But once you come out of it, it is beautiful only. So I need to share these things, I feel, today, because this is something we all struggle with. And I feel at this point in time in our lives, hearing experiences of Guruji, how he teaches this through his nature, through his interactions with all of us, gives some hope to all of the people who hear it. Because, detachment is something that is extremely, it's extremely important to understand. Because many people, I've met so many people that read a book on detachment, and they will say, detach, I don't like. So what? I don't care. This is not detachment, as I said. Detachment comes from being neutral, by accepting and letting go. This is how we have to see it. This is how God has created. And we are just one speck of that creation. And we can't understand God without understanding the Guru. And that is why, for us as a Hari Bhakta Sangha, it's very important for us to build that faithful, unshakable relationship with our Guru. Because you will not be able to understand what God is. God, his creation. Veda says he has 1,000 heads, 1,000 hands. What imagination do you have when you hear this? What understanding do you have? You can't understand without the Guru explaining to you in so many different ways what this 1,000 heads mean, what this 1,000 hands are, what is this creation. And light has come. We were in load shedding in India for so long right now. So this is the thing that you have to see clearly as his children, as his bhaktas. This brings me to a story that, Paramahamsa Sri Krishna and, Uddhava was Krishna's friend, right? And they lived in Dwaraka and all of this. They had very close relationship. Paramahamsa Sri Krishna knew that the end was coming. Kali Yuga was going to dissolve. So he had to first dissolve his family, the Yadav clan. So he goes and he takes them all to this place, Paraspara Tirtha. If you read the Srimad Bhagavatam, Guruji talks about this in his Bhagavatam Bhashya, his commentary. But why I'm telling you this is because, to cut the long story short, because we don't have so much time for satsang, is that Uddhava knew that Krishna was going. He knew that Krishna was going to leave. They were about 70, 80 plus in age. And they were old. And then Uddhav looks at Krishna at the seashore, and Krishna calls him, and then he bows down to Krishna and he says, "You are the only God that I know. I know your stories. I know everything about you. I cannot live without you." And then he says, "Uddhava, now is the time to take sannyas. Now is the time to renounce every single thing from your mind. Because within 7 days, this entire Dwaraka is going to be underwater. Tirtha Pralaya is going to happen. So if you don't take the sannyas now and detach now, you will not exit. You will come back." So even Paramatma himself is telling Uddhav, you have work to do. You have inner work to constantly do, to constantly understand yourself, to know your true nature. So sannyas is not only this orange cloth. Sannyas, true sannyas, what Paramatma Sri Krishna is telling to Uddhav is the renunciation of the mind. And this is the journey with Guruji. You know, Prem Lounge, I know we are supposed to speak about fun things and interesting stories, but this is the real journey with the Sadguru. Because it is only if somebody loves you, they would want you to be with them. They would do everything in their power so that you can be with them. Paramatma was Paramatma Sri Krishna, but he could have instantly just touched Uddhav's head and said, "Ha, you are free." But he needed to show all the people that will read Bhagavatam that you have to do your part, your small part, by understanding the teachings of the Guru. So maybe, I don't know how much of time we have left. Is there a time limit on the session?
There isn't a time limit on the session, Swami, so you can share and give as much satsang as you like. But at the point at which you stopped, I'd like to ask you a question. Since we're giving satsang, maybe we can hear and learn a little bit more from you. I mean, it's just given what Bhagavan Krishna has said to Uddhava and expanding a little bit more for us. A lot of the participants on the call are grihastas. And, you know, the way that we live as grihastas is quite different to the way that one lives as a sannyasi. But of course, there's the surrender of the mind, as you just explained. Can you explain to us, there is a difference. What is the difference between the dharma of a brahmachari, a sannyasi, versus the dharma of a grihasta? So that we actually can see how to follow the path and surrender our minds more in doing what we do every day.
That's a very long question, and I don't know if you guys have enough bandwidth to get all the answers in one session. But in very short, I can share with you, and I hope it helps. So you must understand what is dharma. Dharma means righteousness, right? Adharma means unrighteousness. It's very simple. I'll just break it down for you. So dharma means also duty. Dharma means to do your duty. And this is what life is about. So in Gita, they talk about a word called swadharma. Swadharma, your eternal duty. And only the Sadguru knows your eternal duty. And that is why when you meet him, he will instruct you, you do this, you do that. He does this, he does that. And you'd wonder, why is he saying that? Because this is your true swadharma. But coming back to dharma in your living world, with your prarabdha, karma, all the things that you have to learn, the lessons that you have to learn. This is where the dharma of grihasta comes in, or brahmachari. So the ashrama is very important because the stage of life, see, a lotus has to grow from the bed of the pond. Then it comes up. It doesn't just open. Or you can get the plastic one in the China mall also. That one is permanently open, but it's fake. So just like that, the human beings become like that, like the plastic lotus in the China mall. Until we realize that every ashrama has a dharma. Brahmachari ashrama, you have dharma to study, to understand the teachings, to practice the teachings, to discipline the body and mind in brahmachari ashrama. Then you go to grihasta ashrama, where you are able to apply those teachings in your family life. And then you go from that, you finish, apply all the teachings and do your duty as parents. And then you go to vanaprastha, which is starting to become more distant from the world. And then you go into sannyas. So these are the 4 stages that is there as a guideline. But how do you do it as devotees? It's very simple, that you have to do your duty as parents. That's why, like when I give satsangs, normally I always like to make the distinction, because there are so many mixed people in our satsangs. Like we have brahmacharis, we have grihastas, we have sannyas, we have people who are in vanaprastha. Each of them have a different type of dukkha, have a different type of sorrow, have a different type of attachment. So you have to understand that when you are talking about your dharma as a grihasta, you have a dharma, you have a responsibility, but you have no right to hold or to expect the fruit of the action, basically. Like you will take care of your child. You will do the best you can to educate and take care of your child, for example. You will work super hard, give them the best education. But at the end of the day, that point has to come where you have to do your duty only. And you can't hold it upon the child and you can't expect anything, for example. So if it was played, if the understanding of dharma is there will be no need for any kind of thing to think, oh, I did this for my child and my child is not doing this. Because your child is not doing basically because you didn't teach them dharma. You didn't teach them how to live righteously. Because if the child is, for example, taught dharma and how to understand it and how to do their duty, when you become old or where you can't manage or you can't not able to do, automatically the child does the duty to you. There's no question about it. Like even as a Swami, so much happens sometimes with devotees. So much pleasant and unpleasant things, because we are constantly trying to help them to detach. But at the end of it all, I cannot, as for me, as my dharma, I cannot not do my duty. If I want to give you a sweet, I can't give 5 people a sweet and not give 1 person a sweet because we had some kind of alteration or they were learning to detach from their ego. So, for example, I just have to give everyone the sweet. Do you understand? I have to treat everyone the same and I have to not expect anything in return. So this is how you understand what dharma is. You are just doing your duty without trying to hold on to what will I get out of it. And this question that you ask is kind of relevant to what has been happening in the last couple of weeks, because very often we are entangled in this maya and we always look at our relationships of what we can get out of it. I can go there, but what will I get? What is there for me? Very simple, like if you're in college and your friends say, let's go to a party. And you'll ask, like, who's going to be there at the party? And there's obviously, like, if they mention people like you don't like, you're not interested in seeing, you won't go to the party. But you will go to the party if there's this one girl or boy that you like, and you find like you can actually like see them and smile at them, you'll go to the party because you can get something out of it. Even you can get, they call it eye candy, but you can get something out of it for your indriyas. So this is how life works, and this is what you have to transform out of. And it's a journey. You know, doing your duty fully without expecting is very fulfilling, because you go into the state of pureness that you can do without expecting. And this is what you have to come to, the state that you have to reach in order to understand what detachment is. We are surrounded in a world where it's you do, I do. If you don't do, I don't do. This is the religion of the world, you can say. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. But this is not the philosophy. This is not the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. This is not the teachings of scripture. This is not the teachings of us as a Hari Bhakta Sangha. So we have to evolve into that state of detachment. And it will help us. It will help us. It will help us to get closer to God, to get closer to the feet of the Guru, where you can accept everything and truly be happy inside, that everything is going the way it has to go. And you learn this. You ask Guruji before you sleep. That's why, as a devotee, Guruji has asked you to chant Sarva Dharman Parijyajya Mam Ekam Saranam Braja Aham Tva Sarva Papebhyo Mokshayami Ma Suchaha. Who knows the meaning of that? Read the meaning of it. Before you sleep every night, the instruction is, as a devotee, you chant the shloka, because he is helping you through the shloka to renounce everything. And by chanting the shloka every night, you find that you are able to easily understand the duty, the dharma, without expectation. This is very beautiful. If I go into another satsang, which I'm very scared of, let's move on to the next question.
Okay, Swami. I think
I unconsciously break into satsang.
since we at this point, maybe just one more question that can help us along on our journey, and then we'll go to the photos after that, and you can share a bit more about your personal journey through the photos. Okay, so there's a concept called maryada, which you taught me, and it taught me a lot. And I think, given what you've been sharing in the satsang, it's really such an important thing for us as devotees to know what are the boundaries within which we should be operating, so that we don't make mistakes, so that we serve Guruji and each other in the way in which he's been teaching us to serve, with humility, with love. It's so easy to cross boundaries. How can we make sure that we're staying within?
This is a very big topic. That one word, maryada. I gave it to you guys in a guru's. I think I spoke about the Guru. There was a satsang I did in South Africa.
It's Guru Gita, yes.
Very, very lightly. But the entire Ramayana was constructed, was born, was given life because of this one word, maryada. If you understand the life of Rama, Lord Rama, you'll understand that he only took birth to help you with one thing, is to understand maryada. Because if you don't understand the maryada, you automatically become adharmic in your action, in your mind, in your thought, in your word, in your deed. So many incidents are there. When Rama was exiled, because his father had said, okay, he fulfilled the word, because his boundary was this. He was the son. He was the eldest son. He had to listen to what his mother was saying. even though for some it's good, for some it's bad. So the entire Ramayana, so many incidents were there. Like even when Vibhishana came from Lanka to see Rama, to surrender himself to Rama and say, I want to join your army. Sugriva, Jambavan, Hanuman, all of them were so upset. They were all gossiping about Vibhishana. They were saying, oh, he has come as a spy, Rama. Don't trust him. How can you allow him into our circle? And so Rama listened to every single Hanuman, all the monkey, Vanara clan. And he listened to all of them, what they had to say, all the judgments on Vibhishana. And then he called Vibhishana and he says, now tell me, why do you want to come? And he says, I want to take surrender in your lotus feet because I know that you are Lord, you are God, and you're the only one that can save. And I've been trying to tell Ravana, but he doesn't listen because he has gone beyond his ego. He has no control over his senses. And Rama says, this is where the second Charma Shloka comes in Treta Yuga, where the Vibhishana Sharanagati happens at this point in Ramayana. And Rama takes Vibhishana as his own and shelters him. And Rama says that those who take even one should never refuse shelter to even the enemy. This is the lesson that Rama taught in Treta Yuga. That when one asks for shelter, shelter must be given. When one is sincere to ask for shelter, shelter will be given. When you come back down from that story after the Yuddha Kandam, where the war happened, the fight happened between Ravana and Lord Rama, then at the end, Lanka was on fire because Hanumanji just burnt Lanka. And Mother Sita was standing there, and then Lord Hanuman comes back into the form of the normal height, and he says, Mother Sita, I want to go and kill all the Rakshasis now from Ravana's palace who tortured you while you were staying there. And Sita Devi said, no. Papa nam va shubha nam va vadharha nam plapankama karyam karunamaryena nagashinyat aparadhyati. So she is saying to Hanuman, Papa nam va subha nam va vadhara nam plapankama. Your mind, our minds are all like monkey, always want to take revenge. She's telling Hanuman, on the field of where Lanka is burning, in the midst of all of this turmoil, she decides to give satsang like Swamiji. In the midst of Prem Lounge, suddenly Swamiji is giving satsang. So the thing is, Sita told Hanuman, Plapanka nam Papa nam va shubha nam va vadhara nam plapankama. Your mind is like monkey only. So be very careful. Your mind as a monkey will go beyond its boundary. Plapankama vadhara nam badranyana karishya papa nam va shubha nam va vadhara nam plapankama karyam karunamaryena nagashinyat aparadhyati. Karyam karunamaryena means that every action that is done to us has a reason. Every action has done that we do has to be full of compassion. Karyam karunamaryena nagashinyat aparadhyati means that we should never cause the offense. And how do we cause the offense? By overstepping the boundary. This is maryada. You don't even realize that you are doing it. And it's this is the symptom of the Kali Yuga, where the boundary will be unclear, the boundary will look invisible, because every person will think they can do that person's duty better. So when we look at maryada, maryada is one of your greatest ways how you cause offense and how you cause aparad and how you increase your karma. Like the Guru is the Guru. Why is there so much of suffering now? Because the place of the Guru, the boundary of the Guru has been lost. You never heard about this kind of suffering, of this kind of confusion, this kind of turmoil, and in other yugas, because the placement of the Guru was known. And just like that, we have to understand the place of the mother is the mother. The place of the father is the father. The place of the child has to be the child. And today's children is something else when I look at them, because they don't even know what is the boundary. And today's world where people live, they don't know the boundary. So this is the symptom of Kali Yuga. But you have a Sadguru, you have Guruji. And this is where you are very different from everyone else in the world. And you are safe and you are protected by listening to his words. And that is part of maryada, because when the Guru is speaking, if you understand what is maryada, you will just absorb, you will just listen. It is not a matter of yes, yes, yes. It's a matter of inner acceptance, inner transformation. Do you understand? And this is the essence of that journey. Prem Lounge, we are speaking about journey with Guruji. And all I can share is these kind of experiences, because this is the stage that Guruji has brought me to experience in my life. And I cannot share things that I didn't experience with him. I can share lots of things that other people experience with him, because I've seen so much. But still, maryada is some concept that has to be properly understood, and you have to read Ramayana fully to understand maryada. Because if you're in the maryada, you will receive only grace. See, I'll give you a very real life example. A Swami and a devotee. A Swami has their duty, a devotee has their duty also. But when both cross this boundary, it becomes aparad instantly. For example, if the Swami is wrong, the Swami have to bear that karma. Why you have to worry? You understand? So this is where the maryada, the mind, the plapankam means monkey in Sanskrit. The mind becomes a monkey because we always want to prove I'm right. Look at Sita Devi, what happened to her? Because she didn't pay attention to maryada. Purposely, she's the incarnation of Mahalakshmi, but she purposely disobeyed Dasharatha. She went to the forest. She didn't want to stay in the palace. The second aparad that she committed purposefully to teach us lessons is she accused Rama of going to find another girl, another wife in the forest. That's why he doesn't want to take her. The third offense that she caused was where, the golden deer came and the golden deer came, and then she sent Rama to get the deer. And the deer was a demon, basically. But she accused Lakshmana for looking at her inappropriately, because she purposefully wanted to show the devotees what the mind can do. So the deer itself was the Maya. Then Rama went to go and catch the deer because she insisted. And then when Rama went, when Lakshmana was with her, guarding her, she accused Lakshmana, you are looking at me inappropriately. And then Lakshmana started crying, you are like my mother. I have never ever thought anything other than you are the Rupa of my mother. And so this was purposefully done. I'll tell you why. To show you how your life can end off in such dissatisfaction, in such suffering and misery when you go over the boundary. So then after that, what happened to Mother Sita? Then she instructed Lakshmana, you go and look for Rama because I can hear him calling for you. But it was the deer as the demon disguising the voice of Rama so that Lakshmana can leave the hut and that Ravana can come and capture Sita. This is how the story goes. So when Lakshmana left, because she accused Lakshmana, you don't want to go and help your brother because you want to look at me inappropriately. Then Lakshmana got upset, got hurt, he left. Because Lakshmana left the hut, then Ravana came and took Sita. Do you understand? That when you cross the boundary, you don't understand about what maryada is. You yourself dig your own grave. You yourself destroy yourself. So that's why I bring this live example with Swami and devotee, because it happens a lot. like the mind of people are like this. So we have to understand that everything is happening in its way it has to happen. And you will understand maryada by acceptance only also. When you cross the boundary, always remember that you are instantly there's nothing for you to say. The moment your mind crosses the boundary, already the aparadha is committed. And this is how the awareness of devotees should be, that they have to trust in the Guru fully, that he knows what and how to do everything. All we have to do is receive. This is our only job. Our job is not to analyze anything. And how you will be able to receive 100% is by fully having vishwas, faith. See, in Kali Yuga, in this time, I can't say Kali Yuga fully, but in this time that we are living in, faith is something so sensitive. One small little thing, it doesn't even have to touch anything. One small thing, your faith is lost. Faith is so fragile in this time that we live in. So we have to cultivate. The important thing to cultivate is what? Faith. And how do you develop faith? Is through trust. There is no other way. There is no other manual for it. It's very simple. When you have trust, faith grows. And when faith is a big, strong tree, do you think any tornado can knock it down? No. And this is your first and foremost duty, is to build that big and strong, beautiful baobab tree of faith. Why I'm saying baobab? Because it has a very big and strong root and stem. So it's very important for us to have that grounding and that kind of strength in our faith. I hope I answered your maryada question.
Thank you, Swami. You even expanded to the next concept of faith. So you gave us a beautiful satsang. Thank you, though. It was really important what you've taught us today in the satsang. I mean, I think if all of us walk away with what you've been teaching tonight, we're going to be able to serve Guruji better. So
this is what it's all about. This entire initiative is to bring people to enjoy that service. So it's not a rave party. You don't pop a pill and you start dancing. You know, this is not how. That's why it's so important to cultivate that faith, that trust. You won't find anyone at the door selling you like some pills and saying, hey, swallow this now and then everything's going to be fine. It doesn't work like that. So the Satsanga, Ramayana, in Tulsidas Ramayana, he is constantly praising the Satsanga. He says, so one of the Navada Bhakti, you know, the Navada 9 forms of Bhakti that Rama had given to Shabari Mata. One of the first instruction of the 9 forms of Bhakti is acquire the company of the Satsanga. Because by acquiring the company of the Satsanga, automatically your trust is developed. Then when the trust is developed, then the faith grows. And when the faith grows, you are able to serve in wonderful ways, in more fulfilling experiences with the Guru. So Satsanga is very important. Coming together and building the trust and the faith around the feet of the Master is the most essential. And that's why the first principle of the 9 forms of Bhakti is pay attention to the Satsanga. Acquire the company of the Satsanga. So it's wonderful to have these initiatives, but I see what Guruji is doing through his gracious hands, bringing us all together so that we can develop this vishwas, this faith, more and more. Because faith is a tree that can grow. It can touch right up to all the 7 lokas. And that's the kind of faith that we have to have.
Swami, we're now going to go on to the photos so we can go back to your personal journey a little bit. I'm going to ask Meryl to start with some of the photos from your earlier days. Maybe you can look at them and just share a little bit about all
God. So
before
I
Swami
see you guys have numbered it also so that everyone knows which one I'm talking about.
you're talking about. Before you
So
start sharing, Swami, I just want to share with everyone that Swami actually plays several instruments. We don't often see him playing because we hear him singing most of the time, but maybe he'll share a bit about his instrument playing as well.
You know, would you believe that I ended up singing by mistake? So what you see in 28, I've been doing Bharatanatyam dancing for like 15 years of my life since I was in like primary school. And I always had this dream to be this Bharatanatyam dancer. And then I developed scoliosis like in my early teens. For some reason, my back was paining a lot and sciatica nerves started paining. So I started to learn music. And I always knew I could sing, but it wasn't something I ever wanted to be like. I didn't want to study Carnatic music, but I wanted to study Bharatanatyam. And this is the picture when I went to Chidambaram. I enrolled for Carnatic music, and this is where I was on my hostel rooftop in my first year. It was the first month I was in India, and I was going to class. And this was early in the morning. So what happens on the hostel rooftop? At 5 o'clock, all the boys are on the rooftop and they're doing exercise. And some of them are smoking. Some of them are like chatting. They're drinking tea. And then I'm in one corner of that big rooftop doing teya, teya, te, dit, dit, teya, teya, te. So I used to do 1 hour of practice every morning, finish by 6 o'clock, then go down, get ready for class, go to the eating hall. So this happened only for 2 months in the hostel because I couldn't manage in hostel. But yeah, that was who I would have been if I couldn't sing, I would have definitely pushed myself to dance because I love Bharatanatyam so much. Then the next picture, 29 and 30. 30 is not, I'm not like drunk or anything. Basically, we were chanting Veda. So this is in 29, this is my whole Veda class in Chidambaram. And we were chanting Veda that day from 3:30 in the morning. And this was taken around maybe, I think, 7 o'clock in the morning. And I was so tired, but I'm saying that like this, we were chanting. And it was nice because you can chant like that when you have 50 people with you. It really, nobody will ever notice.
It sounds a little bit like our Vedic chanting classes when you were here in South Africa, Swami.
No, actually, you all did amazing classes. You all did really amazing classes. I missed those classes. I will get back to it soon.
We look forward to it.
So number 31. So I also have my diploma in Veena. I studied Veena for 6 years at college. And I love playing Veena. I just never, ever had money to buy a Veena. And then one thing led to the next. My life changed. And now I'm like, okay, I don't need a Veena. But I used to love playing Veena so much. And it was a very hard instrument to learn. It took me an entire year just to learn how to strum. But then I used to play all these classical pieces on it and ragas. And I used to enjoy my life because every time I did puja, I would offer a special raga, like a certain raga to the deity, to my shaligrams when I do. So that's me at college. And number 27 was taken here in Holi one of the years when I was at Giridhar Dham, Shri Giridhar Dham. Yeah. So this is what I have to say about these pictures. Okay. These are amazing pictures. So number 1 is the first day I met Guruji. That was the lobby I was speaking about. As you can see. Still, I don't know. So I just given Guruji. Can you see, like if you zoom in, you'll see there's a small thing. I just gave him the garland and I just gave him the vastra, and I was still crying. I can see. So that was the first day I met him at that temple. Maybe after 10 years, Guruji and I can go back to the same hotel and stand in the lobby as a 10-year anniversary of meeting. So number 2 was the day I had Swami Diksha at the ashram, and number 3 was me and Tejamai. I was singing Govinda Damodara Madhaveti, and this is also me with Swami Parantapa doing street kirtan in Vrindavan. This is the ashram road coming onto the main road, and this is our ashram in number 5. With Vrindavana, with Rishika, with Sulalita, with I forgot his name.
Isn't it Neelam Bara?
Yes, Neelam Baradas. Yes. So this was all happening during lockdown, and a lot of people left at that time. It was our Navaratri in lockdown, I think, and we were singing, and I don't know what I mean there, because that's very dramatic, actually, that action. So maybe we have a recording, but I can't remember exactly what I mean. Maya is like this. Maya, when we speak about Maya, everyone has gold, everyone has diamonds, everyone has jewelry. As only to a certain point you can actually wear it. After that certain point, you only have a photograph. You only look at the photograph. Oh, there's my diamond necklace. There's my diamond ring. There's my ring. Like, there comes a point in your life where you just look at a photograph of what you had. And this is Maya. You will only see the resemblance of it and the memories of it through photographs. So in number 6, this was recent, this year Holi, where Guruji was here and I was dancing. It was such an amazing time at Yamuna. The Lord was so merciful. He was so playful, and it was just amazing. It felt like a pastime from a Srimad Bhagavatam chapter, where Smaratam Krishna Viryani Leela Bhanga Nirikshitam Hashitam Bhashitam Changa Sarvana Sitilaha Kriya Sarichailavano Desat Mukunda Padabhushitan. So in this sloka, the gopis are saying, they're talking about Krishna's feet and his footprints on the banks of Yamuna. And this is exactly what happened that day. When Guruji walked on the other side of the Yamuna, we set up the tent and he came to do Giridhari Abhishek. And on that wet soil was his footprints being imprinted. And then he jumps into the Yamuna and he starts giving Giridhari Abhishek, and then he starts walking this year. He walked in the entire Yamuna, like I think 2 kilometers, walking with everyone, like some of the boys, in the middle of the whole Yamuna. So it was an amazing time to spend with Guruji at this year's Holi. Number 7 is the Prem Utsav concert, which we had at the ashram. It was a very lovely concert. We had all the Bhakti Marga singers there. All the famous singers of Kirtan session were all here in one place at the ashram. So we had a really wonderful night, and Guruji really enjoyed himself. Number 8, 9, and 10 was the brahmachari initiation, as you can see. But why these are so special for me is because these are my first 2 brahmacharis I initiated as a Swami. So yeah, this picture, it makes me want to cry, because if you see Madhusudana Das and Sandeep Das, what a long way they have come in transforming themselves and being able to serve Guruji more and more each day. It's something truly amazing to have seen. And I can only imagine what it must be for the Lord himself when he has devotees with him for years and years and years, and he sees that transformation happen each and every time he's looking at them or being with them. And I only can imagine one speck of that, what it could feel like, because when I see Madan Sudhana Das and Sandeep Dasananda, I feel that how much they have learned, how much they have grown, how much of experiences he has given them. Okay, yeah, nice to see. Hold on, it's gone off. This is our sadhu seva at Shri Girdhar Dham. These were, as you can see, there's some mist in there. So this was, would you believe this mist was there at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning? So what happens in Vrindavan in winter is that everything gets foggy. You can't even see the road. So it clears up around 8 o'clock, and this was the clearing up of it. And I was freezing cold, and we were given hot sabjis like a curry and puri for all the sadhus there. But you know, these are such beautiful moments, like doing the sadhu seva. For me, the sadhu seva was life-changing. It made me more humble in so many ways. It made me so grateful in so many ways. And the fact that the ashram was doing it, and that Guruji wanted to feed the sadhu. So I'll tell you a very beautiful story what happened. Why the sadhu seva became such a big thing for me is because during lockdown, I was a Swami then, and Guruji asked Shafali to arrange food for the sadhus, because in the first lockdown, people were having no food, no money, no nothing. And she said, okay, who can do the seva? And I just said, okay, I want to do the sadhu seva. I'll try to do it. And I used to go out every day in lockdown at the height of Corona, where people were literally dying in front of each other and fighting for oxygen, and all of these horrible things were happening. I used to go with my mask, go with the cook. We used to cook big pot of sabji. We used to make puri. And lockdown, we started making khichdi because it was much easier. So we initially went with the pot. It didn't work out because it was too much of close contact. So then we packed in these containers, in these foil containers, and we were packing them. Then we carried them in the crates, put them in the rickshaw, then drove them to where the sadhus are. And every day I would be giving this on behalf of Guruji and as his adesh. And there came a point where the sadhus used to come and they used to hold my feet and they used to cry. They used to say, thank you, please tell, because when I used to go, I used to take Guruji's picture with, and they were telling me, please tell Guruji that we are very grateful for the food he is sending, because at that point, Corona was so bad in India that nobody understood it, and everybody had so much of stigma and what they were scared of it so much. So ashrams weren't even doing the seva. Guruji's ashram was the only ashram I can say that was continuously serving the sadhus in the real time of need, providing meals for them, providing clothes for them. And during this time, you could see like the destitute of people. And it really changed a lot in me. It transformed me to another level where I decided that if it's only this one thing that I do and to fulfill Guruji's wishes is to serve the sadhus all the time. And this is has been it's for me, it's been a very, very personal interest. And also from that experience, what I see, the joy that the sadhus have receiving Guruji's prasad is something that I cannot compare. So sadhu seva for me has become a way of life, because in the mornings also we feed a certain type of breakfast to them, and then on Saturdays we do a full sadhu seva. But you know, the sadhu seva is not only sadhu seva, it's also whoever wants, whoever needs, whoever wants food, they are getting the food. But it's mainly called sadhu seva because these sadhus, they live just on the grace of a bhakta. They don't have anything. They sleep on the grass on the side of the road. So in winter time, we do blanket drive. Guruji, provides blankets for them. In summertime, we try to give them mosquito coils. And also what happens, the more and more I spend time with the sadhus, the more and more I realize also virakti, because one of the components of Sharanagati is Bhakti, Virakti, Bhagavad Gyan. So the Bhakti devotion has to be there, the Virakti has to be there, which is detachment. So there were many times when I first started the sadhu seva, the sadhus used to test you. Radharani through the sadhu used to test you. They used to be so rude to me. They used to be so arrogant. They used to shout at me. One day, even the sadhu didn't like the khichdi. He threw the whole khichdi on me. And there were many saints that we went to. I'll tell you why it was a blessing. Because according to the Vraj Mahima, the Shastras or the scripture of Vrindavan, the most valuable place to do seva to sadhus is in Vraj. And it's the most hardest. Because they will teach you virakti through Radharani's kripa. So this is what I've experienced a lot with the sadhus, and it taught me, like, just do the duty. Guruji asks to do this, just do that. And how they treat you means nothing. How they are towards you means nothing. It should not mean anything. I used to get very offended, like very upset also. There were a few times where I said, I'm not going to do sadhu seva because they are shouting at me, and they have been. One day one sadhu said, take your khichdi and go out from here. Because he wanted chapati. I was like, okay. So I went to the shop, I bought him chapati. There was one day where the sadhu came to me and he wanted a dhoti. He wanted the dhoti I'm wearing. So he wants a dhoti. So you know what? I was so scared at that time. I said, I will bring a new dhoti for you, a new one from the shop. I said, do you want a new dhoti? He said, no, I want that dhoti. I said, God, okay. So what I said, I'm going to buy myself a new dhoti, and then I will take out this dhoti and I will give it to you. So I went to the shop. I literally left the sadhu seva. I told the cook, please serve, because now I don't want to now make the sadhu wait. I went to the shop. I bought a 200 rupee dhoti for me. I put it on in the shop and I walked out the shop with my dhoti. It was like a real comedy piece, because imagine I go to the shop, change my dhoti to a new dhoti, then come back and give the used dhoti to a sadhu. And then he takes the dhoti and then he starts to put it on himself and he wraps himself and he just walks. And he doesn't look back. He just walks. He doesn't even care. I'll tell you one more experience with the sadhu seva. So many divine things happened. So Swami Prantapa was staying here during lockdown. And he was talking to the Matajis in the kitchen who were preparing Giridhari Prasad for lunch. And he was talking about Panduranga's tilak in the kitchen. At the time he was talking of Panduranga, an old man and an old woman with a Panduranga tilak comes to me and they take the prasad. And both of them come, they probably 80 years old. And then when he take the prasad, he give the prasad to his wife, which she can't even walk. She's like, her whole back is bent and she's with a stick. And she takes the prasad. And then this sadhu just puts his hand on his hip. And I said, Panduranga. And then he just smiled. And he started walking like he didn't even care who I was after that. The moment I said Panduranga. So anyway, I was mesmerized because my whole body was in goosebumps. I was vibrating and I knew something divine happened. So then I went back to the ashram and I said, Swami Prantapa, you won't know what happened to me. I think I had darshan of Panduranga. He said, really? We were just talking about him in the kitchen like half an hour ago about his tilak. And when he said that, like another rush of goosebumps went through my body. And I realized that the divine Leela was being played at that time. There was one time that Hanumanji came and gave me darshan in sadhu seva. So there was a sadhu that came. It was in winter. And he had a full beard. I even have the picture because I sent it to Guruji. He had full beard and he had a little topi and he had this blanket on him. and he was looking. So he stood in the line. He was like a real Baba, like, but his eyes were different. And I noticed his eyes and I said, no, you are not normal. And then I took a picture. And I was still there were another cook there who was helping me, and some ashram people were there that day. They also helped. So I wasn't dishing too much. So I took a picture of him and I sent it. And it was confirmed that it was Hanumanji that came to take the prasad of Guruji. So there's so much of punya that lies in the sadhu seva. That's why we were encouraging so many of devotees to come together and do the sadhu seva, because the amount of miracles and divinity being present, we have seen so much during the sadhu seva. Because you would never expect to find experiences of Panduranga and Lord Hanuman in amongst a group of men who have not bathed in a couple of weeks, So it just goes to show how much of the physical that we are judging on, and that we don't realize this divinity inside of everyone. Like most of the great saints, they are always untidy. There's one saint in Tiruvannamalai. She deliberately puts vomit on her. She makes herself vomit and she lets the vomit leak through her mouth because she doesn't want humans or people who are too into this world to come near to her. And it's only the realized ones, the ones who are truly connected with the Guru and God, realize who she is. So these are how sadhus are. So for me, there's so much I can share on sadhu seva, and so much it has taught me as a human being, let alone a Swami, that that entire parikrama road, what a relationship Gurudev has with the sadhus. He's not physically there, but when they held my feet and they cried and they said, please thank Guruji, Gurudev, for sending prasad to us, because nobody sent any food for us. And they were saying, please don't leave us, don't leave us. And this happened in the beginning of this big lockdown. There was do you remember that time last year where India had this horrible wave of corona, where they were dumping people in rivers and there was no place, there was no wood to burn anyone. So it was in that time that also this experience happened, where they were literally holding my feet, and they weren't holding me. I didn't take it as they were holding my feet, but they saw me as Guruji's representative coming and giving them this prasad. And these are touching moments because, I always felt like, for me, nothing, I own nothing. I have nothing. And I always think one day, maybe I will be there. Maybe I will be the one to receive that food from somebody. So I always think like this, and that's why I've committed fully, like, to myself, that I would love to continue this thing wherever. I would love to expand it also into different parts of India, and it's going to happen soon by Guruji's blessings. And there's a lot of projects in line with sadhu seva. It's just waiting to be actioned. So you guys will be very happy to see the future of these such activities. Oh, there's more of pictures of sadhu seva. So number 16 is Swami Parantapa and I. We decided one day in the evening after Guru Aarti, we want to go to Barsana. So we took a car and we went to Barsana. When we went to Barsana, it was just him and I, Swami and I, there were a few people there, but it was so peaceful. And we had such lovely times, as you can see, number 17, Swami Parantapa. We had wonderful times together, and he was at the sadhu seva that day when he was staying there in Vrindavan. And you can see me, how drained I look, and look at him, how full of life he was. Like, for me, I was still transitioning and getting used to this whole role as a Swami. So my entire being was being dismantled. So the thing is, when I look at that picture, it was such lovely times with Swami Parantapa, him being here. He was taking us to visit saints. He was doing interviews. Swami Prantapa has so much of vairagya, like so much of determination in so many ways as an instrument of Guruji's, that even the rickshawala who was taking him to Loy, he made him become a devotee. Like the rickshawala means the what you call rickshaw, huh?
That's amazing.
Yeah, what do you call the rickshaw in English?
You mean the driver of the rickshaw?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. He was speaking to him, and then suddenly this boy says, can you he came to ashram, he wanted to see Guruji's photo, and then he came to ashram, and then he said, like, after 2 or 3 weeks, he wanted to become a devotee. So this is how, I mean, I've seen so much of, I think we all have, seen how Guruji works through Swamiji. And yeah, even this picture here, number 19, this is us, this is the Chandan facial and dreads spa. I'm joking. So this is where we were here for Akshaya Tritiya, and Guruji was here, so he missed us all. And then we all happened to be sitting in the room, in the middle room in the ashram. And then we realized, like, hey, we all have chandan, we all have dreads, let's take a picture. So then Swamini was there, but she didn't want to come in the picture. And I think she was the one Shafali was the one who took this picture. No, it was not Papu. Papu is not a rickshawala driver, he's a taxi driver. Only Kriyananda will know this joke. So, yeah, this is it. This is my life in pictures. Oh, number 18 was where Swamini and I were on the land of the new ashram in Pandharpur. And we were looking at the mango tree there, and I don't know what she was saying, but she wanted this mango that was right on the top, and she wanted this specific mango to make the pickle. And it became a big joke because nobody could reach that mango. So we were laughing about that. The next lot. So number 20 is the day I came back to Vrindavan after coming from South Africa. This is the entire holy group that was there at the ashram. We swam in the Yamuna after getting mist in colors. 21 and 22 was at the devotee dinner. So all of you who were there for the devotee dinner would remember this song. And it's the only time I could have ever sang that song because it was made only for that particular event. Number 23, my God, 23 is also the date of my birthday. And this goes to show what a special moment this was, because this was the moment where most of you know Uncle Sway wanted to take initiation. But I'm crying a lot because I've been with Uncle Sway for so long at that time. And he suddenly came and he wanted to have initiation done. And Swami Prantapa and I and Guruji were there. And Guruji says to both of us, come, let the three of us initiate him. I didn't even know what I was doing in the initiation. Guruji was chanting mantra. I was supposed to chant. Swami Prantapa was saying the mantra. I only was crying until the point I had to actually say the mantra. I said it, but I couldn't stop crying because it was the moment itself. Uncle Zoya was getting initiated. Now he's Giridhara Das. But the fact that Guruji had to have the three of us there, like Guruji, Swami Prantapa and I, and knowing the journey we all shared with Uncle Zoya at that time, it was very emotional. And it was another instant where I reminded how the Guru works through each and every one of his Swamis. Like how he draws each and every soul to him, trying to free them from this bondage of suffering. So yeah, this was a beautiful moment. 24 was a yagna I did, and in this yagna, Paramatma Sri Krishna appeared. and they gave us darshan. As you can see, the outline, the rupam of him. 25 was where I was so upset one day I started burning everything in the ashram. No, 25.
It does look like you're throwing out a ball of fire there.
It looks like like that. No, so 25 was like, yeah, it looks like I'm like, you burn. No, it was Holika dance. So the day before Holi, we have to burn a bonfire, and we normally dispose all the old items, and there's a puja to do. And Holika dan goes back to the story of Holika, which I cannot tell you now because I'm too scared of going into a satsang. So you read up on Holika and who Holika was and who was the brother of Holika. Number 26 was when I came back and I was in Pandharpur, and this was the Tarpana offering I was offering to Guruji in Chandrabhaga in Pandharpur. So yeah, it was amazing because, Panduranga was a very instrumental deity form of God in my journey. When I first came to India, when I stayed in the railway station for a few days, I had no food and money. I heard somebody play the song Panduranga Yere on their phone, but it was a different tune. It was Panduranga Yere, Panduranga Yere. So I didn't know what raga it was, and I only knew Panduranga Yere. So I was sleeping in the railway station and I heard someone play the song while it was late in the night. And for me, I only know a specific raga, which is Desh at that time when I first came to India. So I started to sing this Panduranga Yere, not even knowing what it means. Panduranga Yere, Panduranga Yere. Panduranga Yere means mine. So I never knew I was even saying that until I came to Chidambaram. I started Googling or finding out about the song, and then I found the entire song, and I just had tuned it into another raga, and I started singing it. But Panduranga played a very instrumental role in my journey in India, and finding Guruji, finding God, finding all the teachers I had. It was only by Panduranga's grace, I can say, because I didn't even know who Panduranga was. I didn't even know at the railway station he was a form of Krishna. And when I finally met him in Pandharpur this year, so I've never been to Pandharpur, and everyone who listens to Panduranga here on YouTube, they message me and they like, wow, you must always be going to Pandharpur because you sing as if he's sitting next to you. But I've never ever been to Pandharpur. And this year was the first time that I had met Lord Panduranga, and it was such a beautiful experience. And the day I went with Swamini, it was very quiet. The temple was peaceful. We went for the last arati, and we had time to just look at him. And I sang Panduranga Yere in the sanctum, and they allowed me to sing. And then we walked out to Rukmini Mandir there next door, and we had darshan of Rukmini. But when I saw Rukmini ji, I really, really felt so happy. And I couldn't believe how much to Bhagavatam character Rukmini looks in Pandharpur. Because Rukmini in Srimad Bhagavatam is portrayed as that housewife, that cheeky housewife, that one that takes no nonsense. That one's like, I cooked the food now, before it gets cold, you better eat it. Because this is how the argument also happened. So while she made hot chapati for Lord Krishna, she was giving Lord Krishna hot chapati to eat, roti. And there Draupadi is getting derobed by Dushasan. And Duryodhana is pulling her sari, Dushasan is pulling the sari. And she is asking Pandavas, Bhishma, please help me, and nobody can do anything. So Krishna is eating the hot chapati. Rukmini is making chapati now for him and trying to make it hot while he eats. So as he's about to eat, as he put the chapati near his lips, he hears somebody scream, Sankha Chakra Gada Pane, Sankha Chakra Gada Pane, Dwaraka Nilayachуда, Govinda, Pundarikaksha, Rakshamam Sranagatam. Rakshamam means protect me, Sranagata means I fully surrender. So Draupadi, after saying Shankha, Chakra, Gada, so Krishna's like, whose voice is that? That sounds like Draupadi. She's in trouble. He didn't even put the hot chapati in his mouth. He left it down and he went to go and rescue Draupadi, and he went to give the Vastraharan, means that he gave the sari. So that's why the sari was not coming to an end. Rukmini got very upset about this, because she says that I'm giving you hot chapati and somebody is calling. Couldn't you just help from here? Why do you have to run and go to help? So like this, when I saw Rukmini ji in Pandharpur, I just remember all the Bhagavatam stories, and her expression and her posture is like, it's so cheeky. It's like a real loving, affectionate housewife. So this is the one thing that I really took away. And I just, when I came out of the temple, I saw Swamini. I can't believe what I saw, because she looks exactly like how they describe in Srimad Bhagavatam. And yeah, so this is the thing, like, scripture is so beautiful. And that's why after I met Guruji, my scriptures, my Bhagavatam, my Gita became alive, because he had been giving me the experience to experience what the shlokas are saying. And I could have never seen so many Divya Darshans of temples, of gods, without Guruji, because whenever there's a pilgrimage and I was able to go, he would call and say, come. And it's through that grace of God, through Sadguru, through our Guruji, that I had been able to get darshan of so many temples, so many forms of God, divinity. And many of you will agree with this. Like, we would have never thought it's possible to have seen so much in such a short space of time. And Bhagavatam for me has come alive all because of Guruji. And I can say this over and over again, like, I know the value of what it is to have a living master in your life, because he is the only one that can make shlokas become a reality. He's the only one that can make scripture become alive. Without him, the scripture is just scripture, because your mind is so delusional with the Maya, you can't even understand what the sloka is saying. But with Guruji and being by his lotus feet, you will be able to understand so much more from the inside. So that's my small life in short, I think.
Thank you, Swami. It's been such an amazing sharing. And I think everyone will agree that you've actually helped to give us a small taste of bringing the Bhagavatam and the Bhagavad Gita to life for us as well, through your very expressive satsang.
It's very, very important to know, because your relationship, the rasa, the juice is it becomes I don't know, it becomes like something real. Like, you hear the juice is there, but until you don't see the juice, you don't believe the juice is there. Until nobody will come and pour the juice for you. Like, some people will mix the juice also, half juice and half water. So some people will drink the pure juice, some people can't drink the pure juice. So this is the thing, the juice is there, the rasa is there, the essence is there. And if you learn your Bhagavatam and Gita, your experience with Guruji is going to be something I can't express, but I can only feel inside. And that's what I wish for all of you Hari Bhaktas, to come to that place where you can live scripture with your Guru. Because most of the time I've seen devotees, they just, everything you tell them is like news, like, but the books are there. You can buy the books, you can read the books. Every time there's a satsang given, like, like nobody knows that the Guruji has written that. So this is what we have to understand. Everything is available to you. And you have to make that effort. Just start reading. And you'll see, once you start reading And when you are with Guruji, and when you are in his ashrams, and when you are with his devotees, he will bring that scripture to life. He will give you that experience. And so many people can vouch for this, that I've asked to do the on a serious note, like daily read. You know, reading the same page 10 times, it's only benefit for you. Everyone can say, I read the entire Gita, but what did you remember from the Gita? No, you can read one chapter, at least one chapter you read every day, or like for that chapter one, you read the whole week. So if you finish in 2 days, start again chapter 1 only. So this is how you'll be able to absorb, and you'll be able to remember when experiences are happening and he wants to bring scripture alive in front of you. You're going to be so involved in that experience. You're going to take it with open hands. You're going to value it. You're going to take it as a blessing rather than take it as, oh my God, Lord, why are you making me suffer? Because it's not going to be like that when you know what he has written. So that's my humble request to all of you. Read his books, share his literature, because you know, how many of you have written stories, essays? Writing truly comes from one's own heart. And it's a very powerful, expressive way of showing what is inside the inner chambers of the heart. So you can only know your Guru once you have read his books fully, not just by being with him, not just by popping on the TikTok and YouTube and just listening to his satsang while you're cooking or doing something else. You need to make that time. You need to hold his words in your hands. You need to envision and read his words with your eyes. You need to use your senses to absorb the knowledge, the wisdom of the Guru. And that's how transformation will be permanent. Okay, so I think I've said many things. And much love to all of you. It's so nice to see all of you, like Suvarna, Prakshini Dasi, Leraine, Levitan. Oh my God, I've never called you that. I called you something else. What is your, what do we call you? Oh, huh?
Kalindi.
Kalindi, yes. Sorry, Kalindi Mataji. Sorry, I was really listening here. Miss you lots. Thank you, Nikesh Das. Lokmanohar Das, how are you? Nice to see all of you guys, whoever I can see and whoever I can't see. I'm in your heart and you are in mine. So it's okay. Don't switch on your camera. Okay.
Thank you so much for sharing with us. It was such an amazing session. You taught us so much tonight. And what's really great is the sessions on YouTube, so it can be watched again and again.
Okay,
well, thank you so much. Thank you for being with us. Please, will you do a closing prayer before we end the session?
Let's do our famous closing prayer in Bhakti Marga. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Satgurudeva Paramahamsa Vishwananda Maharaj ki
Yay!
May peace and love be with all of you, and may he always be in your hearts and always watching over you, protecting your family and friends. Much love from Vrindavan, everyone. Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev Swami, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us, everyone of the Prem Lounge. We're really grateful to spend the evening with you. May you all be blessed as well. Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev. Bye.